Colt Delta Elite XE Generation 2. Mr. Revolver Guy here with DayAtTheRange.com. Thank you guys for joining me on the bench again today. I'm really excited to bring you a comparison or review of the Delta Elite Colt 10mm Auto. It is one of my holy grail finds. I've wanted one of these for over 10 years now. I'm a big fan of 10mm, but I have not really cared for the Gen 1 Colt Delta Elite. You can find many of pundits out there talking about the pitfalls of the Gen 1. Me, simply, I did not like the wraparound grips. I just did not like the look of the original GI kind of reintroduction of the Colt 10mm. But here on the bench with us today, we have item number 02020XE, again, the Colt Delta Elite Gen 2, as I'm calling it. So let's start out talking about the Colt Gen 2, but before we do, we're going to get to a safety check, which I checked before bringing it out to the bench. There's no magazine in the pistol at all. Lock it to the rear. As you can see there, nothing in the pipe, nothing at all. So in talking about the Gen 2, we're going to start with the slide. And with the slide, you can see it starts out with 3-dot Novak sights. Got oil on my fingers there. 3-dot Novak sights. The rear sight is windage adjustable and has a screw for securing it in the Novak sight. Also on the frame, you will notice the cocking serrations are much more aggressive. They are slanted forward, unlike the Gen 1, which has the GI style straight up and down cocking serrations. In my view, these cocking serrations and being much more aggressive is due to the fact of the 2-spring recoil system, which I will show later with some pictures in this video. The 2-spring recoil system on the Delta Elite Generation 2 is a little bit stiffer and a little bit tougher to pull back. You have a polymer GI guide rod with dual spring, supposed to be the equivalent to 22-pound single spring, according to Colt. So again, it's just a little bit tougher to pull back, and the cocking serrations aid in racking the slide, which I really like. It also has, as you can see, as we work down the pistol now at this point, it has the speed hammer, unlike the Gen 1, which had the traditional GI hammer. Also, with this particular Colt Delta Elite, we have on the trigger, as you move down to the frame, you have the 3-hole aluminum trigger. You have the aggressive upswept beaver tail with palm swell. That is to make sure you disengage that grip safety as you grip that pistol. It disengages the grip safety. We also have an extended safety, thumb safety, easy to work, easy to function. Though I didn't really have much of an issue with the Gen 1. This, I believe, makes it just easier for those potentially with smaller hands. That I do not have a problem with. Also, you have on the frame, you have this nylon mainspring housing, which is straight and serrated. Never had a problem with them. Prefer for it to be steel, but I think it's probably a way to keep the cost down, is my guess. The biggest deal to me, which is going to seem minute for most of you, is the grips. I just thought the wraparound grips on the original Delta Elite was horrific for me. I could not bring myself, and of course, could they have been swept, changed out? Of course. I just could not bring myself to do so. But these grips are rubber black grips. The panels, and they're rubber. Of course, most of you know I am a wood guy. You can see the thickness there. I would have loved to have had wood and the emblem embossed into the wood. Would have made the pistol stand out more. But Colt really has outdone themselves with this particular brand and model, especially in the, it's supposed to be a working gun, you know, it's supposed to be a working gun. On this one, the trigger breaks at about 4.5 pounds. One thing that I do want to, before I go into the pictures, one thing that I do want to tell you about this particular specimen, or this particular model, shall I say. This model is a Series 80. The Series 80 pistol simply means it has all the GI safety devices along with the additional firing pin lock on the inside. You can take the slide off, flip it upside down, compare it to a Model 70, and you'll see the differences there. You'll see the little cylinder hole or the firing pin lock there. That adds additional safety to the Series 80s models. Some will debate you and say the Series 80s models, because of that firing pin safety, will have not that great of a trigger compared to those with a Series 70. Me, I don't know. Maybe my hands are so large. Maybe I'm losing feeling in my hand. I really can't tell the difference. You guys know that I reviewed the recent Ruger SR 1911 and 10 millimeter. That trigger breaks at about 5 pounds. This one breaks at about 4.5 pounds according to my RCBS trigger gauge. And quite honestly, I can't tell much of a difference. The one difference that I do notice between Series 80 and Series 70 triggers, and maybe that's what everybody's talking about, is for some reason the Series 80s, which I am unaware of or don't understand why, I will admit that, the Series 80s trigger has a little bit more take up than the Series 70. The barrel is a 5-inch barrel with a 1/16-inch twist, 6-groove barrel. So pretty traditional. I did take it out to the range, put some rounds through it. I've had this one, long story, really, really long story. I've had this one for quite some time. And I've had this one for some time because, honestly, it has been back to Colt. It has actually been back to Colt twice. And on the second time, Colt returned it to me and stated that there was nothing that they could do about the machine marks on the inside of the frame or on the inside of the slide. I will show you some pictures. They are absolutely atrocious. And for me, it was disheartening considering the cash that I laid out for this pistol, and to get something, it was a holy grail find for me, and to get something that I wasn't so just ecstatic about. But I will tell you, and I'll go into it when I start to display the pictures, I will tell you that I'm now really happy with this pistol. The machine marks on the inside of the slide, they are still there. I've done nothing about it. Have not been able to do anything about it. I've just not wanted to, quite honestly. But the accuracy on this pistol, which I tested in a Master Series ransom rest, was just not good. Just not good at all. And I could not figure out why. I started talking to a few friends. They recommended some of the traditional changes, and the first change was, hey, fit a bushing to that pistol. So I bought, you purist, don't kill me. Again, the pistol is unloaded. I bought a Briley bushing, oversized, and fitted to this pistol. After fitting that Briley bushing to this pistol, it has gone from me wanting to sell this thing to almost giving it away because of the things that I knew about it and not wanting to take advantage of anyone, to absolutely loving this pistol and it earning a space on my shelf inside my safe. Yes, I will be keeping this one. The Briley bushing has made a tremendous difference. And you will be able to see those differences towards the end of this video as I start to display some of the video or pictures, start to display some of the pictures that I took in disassembling this 1911. I'm now a fan. I do love my Colt Delta Elite. Thank you for joining me on the bench today for a quick review, and stay tuned for the pictures to follow. Back on the range after fitting the Briley bushing. Here you have the machine marks in the slide. In the ransom rest, S&B 180 grain ammo, S&B target. Ransom rest, PMC 180 grain ammo, PMC target. Ransom rest, SIG ammo, 180 grain, SIG target. This is the view of the ransom rest setup. I decided to shoot 25 yards from the sandbag rest with the following ammo to see if it was the ransom rest. PMC, Corbon, Federal, Blazer, and Armscore. As you can see there, all 180 grain ammo except for the Corbon, which is 165 grain, and the Blazer is 200 grain ammo as well. And there's the targets. On the second outing, I took other 10 millimeters, the Ruger SR 1911, the Para Hunter, the Colt Delta Elite, as you see there, along with a Smith & Wesson 610. The Ruger target, shot at 25 yards from sandbag rest. The Para target, 25 yards sandbag rest. The Delta target, 25 yards sandbag rest. And finally, you have the 610 target. From the sandbag rest, all targets shot at 25 yards. From the ransom rest in the earlier pictures, those were 50-yard shots from the ransom rest. Again, shot from the 50-yard line. As you can see, my groups did tighten up with the Delta Elite after the Briley bushing. I am much happier with this pistol, and it has earned a space on my shelf inside the safe, and I plan on keeping it now. Mr. Revolver Guy, DayAtTheRange.com.